Hey Roberta, it's great to see you.
Nice to see you too, Kerry. Thank you for being willing to be my coach.
It's always a pleasure. So, what is the best way to use our time together today?
Well, I don't know if you have any background. I'm a new principal at this middle school,
Yeah.
and I've got this AP who's driving me crazy. She's been challenging right from the get-go, and I think I've only been there through the summer and now into the fall, and so I feel like she's put me in a bad position. I can give you a little more background on that, but basically, I don't know what to do with her. I'd love to kick her out, but I don't think that's an option.
Oh, so you said she put you in a bad position. What happened?
Well, I've got a leadership team. It's the department heads and the content area leaders. And they meet. They're used to meeting once or twice a month, and their historic function has been to, I don't know what, but they've been used to keep everybody updated on what all the departments are doing, and to review the data from the data team, which is another school-based team. That's not the function of this instructional leadership team. This is my leadership team, and she's a member of it, obviously.
Okay.
I believe, in fact I know, she wanted the position, so I am now in the role that she would like to have had. That's probably the first issue. And I don't know chapter and verse, but she probably had far more leadership latitude in the past in her role than she now has with me in this chair.
Okay.
So one of the first things I did as part of my entry plan was to collect some data about the school needs. We have lots of needs. We have achievement needs for sure. But it seemed to me that I got a lot of data right from the get-go that said that the staff morale wasn't good and student morale wasn't good. We have some morale issues.
Okay.
So I brought that to this leadership team this month. The first leadership team, I kind of put out a theory of action that says, this is who I am, here's what I believe, here's some things I believe, all focused on improving student achievement, although collaboration was one of them. This meeting, I brought the data from the survey to the meeting and said, well, two things. I wanted to have them process the data and to begin to maybe to drive some leadership changes in the building, to see if they could do different work and do it differently from what they had done in the past.
Okay.
So my plan was to have them begin to talk about the data and see where it might lead us. What should we do about this? What are some things we could do? I didn't expect us to have a plan. And she, almost as soon as the data was on the table, did two things. She said, I distrust that data. I don't agree with it. I don't believe that morale is bad in this building, and I just mistrust the data. And I don't think that's what we should be working on.
So she said she mistrusted the data. Was she calling you a liar?
I don't know, because I didn't probe her in front of the group. She really took me by surprise, and I didn't know what to do. What do? You're a brand new principal. You've got this team. I don't know what the other people thought about this. I don't know about their relationship with her. I just know that she was pretty inappropriate, I thought, and pretty negative, and kind of derailed the whole meeting. It was a hijack right there.
So what'd you do to get the meeting back on track?
That's a great question.
Did you say anything to her?
No, I was a wimp. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I still don't know what to do. That goes back to your question, what do I need to do? I need to do something about this lady.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I did was I said, gee, I hear your concern that this isn't what we should be working on, and I'm not quite sure how to process it at this point. Let me think on that, and let me think on how I think I and we should respond to that concern. Let's bring it back to, let's continue with the rest of the agenda and come back to that at the next meeting. So I deferred.
So how long has she been an assistant principal at that school?
She's been there about 5 years.
She's been there about 5 years. Does she have, is there a sense that you have that she is well-liked and that people follow her lead?
I don't know, Kerry. I don't know.
Not sure?
No, I'm not sure. I don't know. I couldn't tell when I listened to her, is this a singleton, a really pain-in-the-neck person who doesn't like, she's disgruntled, she wanted the job, she didn't get it, she doesn't like me, she doesn't like change. I didn't know what it was, nor did I know if it was an isolated event of resistance or whether it had any legs elsewhere. So my needs are to figure out what to do with her and figure out how to do damage control, how to neutralize her, and then figure out how to go forward with the agenda in spite of her, around her, or without her. I don't know.
So in order to neutralize her, I think you need to figure out who else she influenced. So when you think back to that meeting, can you see the faces of the people? Was there anybody who looked like they agreed with her and also were mistrustful of the data?
I
or-
couldn't tell that. I think mostly what I couldn't, number one, I couldn't tell because she felt like she was coming at me and there were 10 other people around the table. But what their faces looked like mostly were shock.
Okay.
What's happening here? Just discomfort and shock. Whether they agreed with it or not, she was both, she was misbehaving in a public way that maybe I should have reprimanded her, but that felt like that have consequences as well.
Well, I mean, so it sounds like you have an opportunity right now to, I mean, if people are looking shocked, Roberta, I'm thinking that you have an opportunity right now to build a strong ally base based on just, her lack of professional conduct and the shock of the people in the room. Sounds like you have a really good opportunity to get people on your side if you were to take a stand against her and make an example out of her insubordination.
What does that mean? What would that look like? Does that mean put her in the corner, like with the bad boy hat on?
Well, I mean, I think you're going to have to do it with your style, but I tell you, in the past, I mean, I was a principal for a long time, Roberta, and when people misbehave publicly and you don't, show them who's in charge, that's going to be a real hard rock to crawl out from under for the rest of the year. So I'm not suggesting that you emulate her actions and publicly shame her, but I think you need to pull her into your office in a way that is going to let her know that you're in charge and that she can't behave that way. And I think you need to do it in such a way that you will also be able to find out who her allies are, because the second you pull her into that office, she's going to go and she's going to have those parking lot and water cooler conversations with people who she thinks are on her side, and you're going to find out about it.
How am I going to find out? They're not going to tell me.
You're going to be able to pay attention to the buzz that's happening in the school. I mean, come on, you've been in education for a while. This might be your first year as a principal, but you know how teachers are. You know how people get.
I'd be worried that if I came down hard on her, they'd go underground. And then I've got an underground revolution.
So let's think about...
I'm new and, they're not sure about me. I don't disagree. I think I have to talk to this woman. I have to find out where she's coming from. I have to try to understand what's happening here. And I think I have to go back and show the leadership team at large who I am and what I stand for and what I believe in and how I do my work. Of course, it wouldn't be my style, Kerry, to put somebody in the corner with a bad boy hat on.
Yeah,
that is not my style.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you've got to figure out what is your style then in terms of managing this wayward soldier, because she's she's a trouble spot for you. And if she wants your job, she wanted your job, she didn't get your job. Do you know why she didn't get your job?
Because she's a pain in the butt.
Is that what you would? I mean,
I don't know.
What's the word on the street about her?
I don't know. I think I haven't had enough time to observe her in action to see. I don't think she's highly skilled, and I don't think she's a skillful instructional leader. So in terms of the ability to lead the school where it needs to go, I don't think she's that person at this time. It needs to build morale. It needs to raise achievement. I think she is the status quo. She's been there, and I don't think they thought she was going to bring them. I'm guessing. I'm extrapolating from what I see and from what I think the mandate for this school is based on what I see from the data and what I was told when they hired me. Yeah. This is where we want the school to be.
Who do you trust at the school right now?
That's a good question. Of the people in that room, I have maybe 2 of my content area leaders that I think I would trust to give me the skinny on what's going on in the room.
You saw exactly where I was going with that question. I think that it's a great opportunity for you to find out a little bit more information about this partner of yours, because if she's going to be subversive every chance she gets, you need to know a little background knowledge on her.
Right. I would guess, if I had to guess now, I would guess that she is going to be subversive, and so. I'd love to get her out of the room. That would be nice. But if she's going to be subversive, I have to kind of figure out what are the tracks? How's that going to track? What's it going to look like? If you're going out this way, I need to know where she's going and how she's going to be subversive in order for me to rein that in. And then I have to establish norms, I think, of how we will and won't behave in that room with the leadership team that both reinforce my credibility and set a standard for what we think collaborative work would look like. See, I stand for that, Kerry. I don't stand for putting somebody in the corner with a bad boy hat on.
Well, so what are you afraid of if you make a stand with her? I'm sensing some resistance here.
number one, I've got several things at stake. Whatever I do, they are watching me.
Right.
You know, and so the way I handle resistance is important. So I would want people to think that I value all voices, even the voices who don't agree with what I do. I want them to feel valued. I would ideally like people to feel that there's some channel of communication that's appropriate for dissent, because those are values that I would endorse. It's not that I want everybody I disagree with to go talk in the parking lot or sit in the corner with the bad boy hat on. And so I want to stand for those things and establish ways that we can all endorse for handling conflict and for handling disagreement, and then moving on to agreement beyond the disagreement, so we are all speaking with one voice to go wherever we need to go. That ain't so easy. It's a lot easier it's a lot easier to put my son in the corner with the bad boy hat on.
I mean, listen, it sounds like you've got, you know, the beginnings of a plan here. I guess I'm just concerned that it's a subtle plan, and I wonder if subtlety is really the best way
That's a great
to
question.
deal with this.
That's a great question. I don't.
So what are the risks of being subtle here?
The risks are that she continues to be subversive. The risks are that I don't really know what's making her tick, and the risks that she doesn't cut it out right now.
I think you got to find out what makes her tick. I think you got to go talk to those people on your team. You got to find out.
And then do what?
I think you got to find out what her, what her agenda is, so that you can anticipate further missteps. And I think just pull her in and let her know. Listen, I know you wanted this job. You didn't get it. You're my team. I need you on my side. But you
think that's going to change her behavior?
I don't know. I think you should give it a try. I mean, I just worry about the subtlety of your plan. I worry that it's going to be so subtle that she's going to continue to dig this way and dig that way, and people are going to see that she can just walk all over you because you're afraid to take a stand. I'd be real nervous about that.
I'd be nervous about it. The price of subtlety is that it takes time, and I don't have time, and I do have to establish credibility. On the other hand, beating her with a big stick may not make her go away. It may make her go underground, and it may make her more angry.
Maybe there's a compromise somewhere between ferocity and subtlety. There's a way in the middle. What do you think you could do to figure out how you could come together somewhere between subtlety and taking a real
I think you're right
stand?
that I need to meet with her. I need to talk to her.
Yep.
She needs to hear both what I value, and that I'm not happy with the way she handled what her disagreements are about either what we're doing or why we're doing it. I don't quite know how to move forward with the question of what's the underlying cause for her hostility, if that's the right word. It may not be the right word. I don't know quite how to tackle the question of, look, you wanted my job, you didn't get it. Is that what's really going on here? I don't quite see that conversation.
Well, maybe she'll reveal it. I mean, who knows? Maybe, you say you don't really know what makes her tick. Maybe she'll reveal it when you bring her in. When do you think you can bring her in? Can you bring her in this week?
Yeah, I can bring her in right away.
I'm nervous that if too much more time passes.
No, I think that's right.
Yeah.
But I think it's also true that as soon as I bring her in, and whatever the nature of our conversation is, the doors have ears, so that it becomes a conversation where everyone knows how this principal handles disagreement, handles conflict, how respectful they are with their faculty. And so that's important, that I walk the walk as well as talk the talk, that I treat people the way I want them to feel like they've been treated, even if they are pain in the neck.
Yep, that sounds good. So you're going to bring her in this week?
I'm going to bring her in this week.
So you're going to schedule that appointment? Are you going to send her an appointment by email? You're going to call her up? Well, how are you going to do that, Roberta? Tell me your next steps.
I haven't thought about that. I don't know what the differences are. I mean, I know what the differences are. I don't know what the implications are of that.
Well,
I might. What do you think?
Well, I mean, look, I think because time is of the essence and she's a sneaky one, if you send her an email appointment, she might just disregard it. I'd probably go up to her in person and say, I've blocked out this time on my calendar, and I've looked at your calendar and you have it open, so we're going to have a meeting, and I'm going to need about 45 minutes of your time.
What would you say is the purpose for the meeting?
I would just let her know I want to talk about the leadership team meeting and get your perceptions on it. It depends. I mean, you said that kind of coming full force isn't your style, so I think you have to think about how you want to do that, but what you really want to say to her so that she's not coming in there feeling super defensive. But I think
the first thing I'd like to rescue would be the norms for how the group behaves when they're a group, and that is something I would want to.
So you want to talk to her about that, or?
Well, I would want to say what outcome do I want? I want to be able to go back to that group and to know that isn't going to happen again. period. Whether she likes or doesn't like what we're doing, that we either have a way in
Yeah.
which we express it appropriately or not. Keep it to yourself or bring it to me separately. I would want to establish some norms with the group or for the group or both that says, here's how we handle conflict, and we begin to honor those norms
Yeah.
right from the get-go as of the next meeting. And she hears that
Yeah.
as part of our conversations. Does that sound?
Well, it sounds like, maybe I didn't hear you right, but it sounds like you're saying that you want to start the conversation with her by kind of getting her insight on some norms and laying out these norms and saying to her, this is how we're gonna do things, this is not how we're gonna do things, let's come together to the team. Is that what you're saying, Roberta?
No.
I'm not hearing you then.
I'm not saying it right, Kerry.
So it sounds like your plan is to talk with her, and it sounds like you're still trying to figure out exactly how you want to approach her and exactly what you want to say. But it sounds like you are clear on the outcomes for your overall meeting with the team, which is to establish some norms. And so that feels good. So what are you taking away from this meeting today, Roberta?
I'm taking away the feeling that I'm not tough enough to handle this kind of conflict, and that if I were you, Kerry, I would go right after her and put her in her place and put her in the bad boy chair and let her know that I'm the boss here and this is how it has to be.
I think you got to let her know.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have a plan to do that.
Yeah, and that's one kind of advice. The listener in this case has to figure out how to marry that advice with my style, whatever it is, it's evolving, and what I believe are a set of values I would hope we would all endorse about how we behave with each other and how we handle conflict.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Not easy. You didn't give
Not
me an
easy.
easy solution.
No, I didn't.
Why not?
I'll look forward to coming back next week to see how that worked out for you.
I will have met with her by next week,
Okay.
good, bad, or otherwise.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Roberta.
Thank you.